Hello y'all, my name's Sophie, and yeah, today I wanted to talk about kind of the astrology of skincare, and this is my first astrology video that I'm making ever, and I wanted to make it about the astrology of skincare because Venus just moved into Taurus. I'm recording on April 13th, 2021. And yeah, I'm just super excited to talk about the magic behind the processes of beautification, health, and grounding. I'm a Virgo Venus, so I love that shit. I just want a disclaimer that I am neither a professional esthetician or a medical astrologer. And what a medical astrologer does is they study the traditions of kind of connecting the planets, the signs, and other things in the sky to our bodies and to health problems and herbs sometimes. So yeah, back in ancient Greece, I think it was Hippocrates who had said that a physician without knowledge of astrology doesn't have the right to call himself a physician or something like that. And I just love that because I was like, whoa, because we really strayed from that, like knowing like how far also just that medical astrology has evolved. So that being said, my role here is really to just connect the dots and show them to y'all. I struggled a lot to make this video, which is to be expected because the only planet that I have in Taurus is Saturn. And, you know, Saturn represents kind of like challenges, struggles, effort, putting in work, discipline, things that get better with time. Yeah, I mean, I definitely felt that today making this video. It is my first astrology video that I've ever made, but I had to do it. I saw it through, and I hope that Saturn admires that perseverance because we still out here. So yeah, without further ado, I'm just gonna go into it. And the structure by which I'm gonna like go through this video is going through like the 12 signs and kind of giving like skin tips, not for the signs, right, but rather from the signs. And so what I mean by that is I'm not giving advice for like, oh, if you're a Scorpio, this is what you should do, because like I said, I'm not an esthetician, I'm not a medical astrologer. You should seek a reading like if you are interested in that, and I'll probably link that below. So what I mean by taking advice from the signs is that I'm going to be going through it as if like the signs, like the archetypes, the characters that, you know, these zodiac signs represent, we're giving you advice from their own experience and kind of like what works for them, if that makes sense. Because everyone has unique birth charts, everyone has unique skin makeup. I really can't like give you personalized advice, right? And at the same time, it's also like these tips are so generalized that they're honestly like, you should honestly do all of them. Like, why restrict yourself to one or like 3 or whatever? So just take what works for you, leave whatever doesn't with me or end the video. That's fine. Okay. Okay, so Saturn, like I said, it does represent things that get better with time, right? It also represents boundaries. Saturn is the last visible planet that we can see on Earth, at least until we discover like Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. But for like centuries or like eons, whatever, Saturn was like the last planet, like the most farthest planet that we could see, and then with the naked eye, like it still is, like you do need like a huge telescope to look at the other 3 planets that I mentioned. Saturn does represent boundaries, and that's why in medical astrology it rules over our skin, because our skin is a boundary for our being, the layer by which, you know, we interact with the world, right? And so that's why I really want you to keep that in mind, is that Saturn rules over the skin. Also, just wanting to add that things that get better with time, your skin gets better with time. If you are consistent about it, you know, if you put in that Saturnian discipline into your routine where you're like, okay, I'm gonna be consistent, okay, I'm gonna do this, this, and this, at these times, Saturn also represents time, it's going to get better. So yeah, look for your Saturn sign, look for your rising sign or your ascendant sign, and look at the sign that rules your 6th house. And yeah, without further ado, let's get started. Aries. Aries in medical astrology rules the head, which is a great place to start because that's what we're talking about, right? When we're talking about skin, you know, it is our whole, or okay, it's the biggest organ we have, so it covers our whole body. I mean, we all knew that I was talking about this. I wasn't talking about, you know, my calves. So for those of us who live in the northern hemisphere, Aries is the first sign in the zodiac. So this is a great place to start again. And so I want to talk about the elements, and I'm going to do this for every sign. So Aries is a fire sign, as a lot of people probably know, but as I want to also bring up that it's modality, meaning it's motion. There's 3 motions in astrology, or movement forms. It's cardinal, mutable, and fixed. And Aries is a cardinal sign. If you think about fixed, right, they're stabilizing, they pretty much don't move, there's like no movement there. Mutable signs, you can imagine like a river flowing. Cardinal signs is super cool because they are oscillating all the time. And so cardinal signs, Aries, Capricorn, Libra, and Cancer, are very initiating signs. They're always starting new projects, always like moving. And so fixed signs are stabilizing and mutable signs are breaking free from that. Cardinal signs are initiating new ways of action, new paths. They're the trailblazers. So Aries, as you probably know, like, is known for that. It's known for being independent, it's fearless, and the hardest step in completing anything is always the first step. It's always starting, right? And so that's what I want to say, is that if you are new to like skincare, you like never really paid attention, maybe you only use like hand soap now, or you're just learning or like getting interested now, no fucking worries, because the best time to start is always now. At least in my book, right, as an astrologer, like the timing is always right. The timing is always perfect. Mars, the planet, rules the sign Aries. Mars is a fiery red planet. Mars likes to cut, it likes to burn, it's a warrior planet archetype, right? And so if your routine is stinging you and irritating your skin a lot, then it's probably not a good routine. And I know that maybe it might go without saying for some of you, but that's not the case. I know so many people who are like, oh, it's good for you if it's burning. And that might be true, maybe for the one time, but not always, like not consistently, right? Because then you start getting peeling, then you start getting flaking, then you start getting redness. And Mars rules the color red. So it's not a good look. It's really not. Also, as you know, like red pimples, also not a good look. Mars is just one of those planets that is just irritating in general. If Mars is a planet of war, right, and Aries is kind of like the frontline warrior who's like gives it all in one go, Aries might go through phases where they're super motivated to do the thing and they give it all in one go and they burn out and that's it. And that makes sense, you know, because it is the ram, and they like just headsbutts and that's it. It's a really strong headbutt. For my Aries, don't turn away from your own intuition, from your own knowing. Using ingredients that do not cause irritation, peeling, itching, redness, things that would happen maybe if we were to go to Mars and experience the climate there. We don't want that. We're on Earth. So stay grounded. I think that's the advice that Aries would give to y'all. Taurus is fixed Earth. So it's an Earth sign. That's its element, and its modality, its movement is fixed. So it's really stabilizing. It's the part in spring where, you know, if Aries is the equinox and it's the beginning of spring and new life, Taurus is the peak spring, baby. It's you know, it's like sustaining that life, and it's just like feels almost like you're in a green room, you know, where it's just like stabilized, enclosed, beautiful life everywhere. That being said, Taurus does rule the neck. So when we do skincare, sometimes we forget to apply products around here, and that can be bad for what's going on up here. So keeping in mind that Taurus rules the throat, I think, yeah, Taurus would be like, hey, don't forget me, don't forget that, you know, this part also needs to be like cleansed too. Taurus being ruled by Venus, planet of love and beauty, you know, using floral sprays I feel like is a very Taurus thing to do. Also fixed earth. What's earth that's fixed? It's like clay masks and things like that, and like having lots of nutritive, like protein type, like nutritious masks. I just want to tell a quick story, because one time me and my homegirl Che, shout out Che, actually it was more her thing, she's a chef, but we made these amazing masks with like, I don't even remember, it was like banana and like, I don't know, like rice, I think a little, I don't know, but basically it was so delicious. We ended up eating it all. Not all, we used some on our face. All the leftovers we ended up eating, and of course they were all natural ingredients, and you know, avocado, honey, I think, and just all these. It was just like amazing smoothie, and I think that's like very Taurian too, in that you want something that indulges your five senses. And now I don't mean you have to be eating all your masks. I mean that's something that at least engages you in a way that's not just like physical, but maybe also you like the fragrance or you like how it looks. So just having like a routine where you feel grounded, because Taurus is about being grounded, as well as food. Taurus is often associated with food, so paying attention to what you're eating, paying attention to your diet and like how it affects your skin, that's a great way to also take care of your skin. And with that said, thinking about what's in your skincare too, not just thinking about what's in your food, right, and the ingredients. Are you cooking from home? Are you cooking with love? You know what I mean? Are you always eating out? You know what I mean? Do you not know what's in your food? Are you taking your vitamins or your supplements or whatever it is, your tinctures, whatever it is that, you know, helps you fully experience health in your body, or at least as much as possible, right? Because I understand that it is a difficult subject, eating and diets. I'm just saying, taking time to be intentional and like giving thanks for the food that you're eating is always just a great way. If you're like nourishing your skin, you're nourishing everything, right? In the ingredients, you know, and I'm reading this from this mask called Dirt Queen that I bought from Firme Arte. Shout out Firme Arte. You know, having like masks that are made with magic too, I think is like a really good way, just in general, like fuck the signs, like a good way to get grounded. And so I just want to read this in honor of Taurus and the spirit of it. Earth magic, nourish, restore, connection. Yeah, building those connections to your body. This is what really got me. It says, think about the materials in the mixture and tune into their origins. Find grounding and solitude in their existence and ability to assist you through your self-care. I love that, and I think that that can even apply to food too. The way that we give thanks to our food, doing the same with the earth's elements and spirits that are helping us connect to our bodies. So yeah, so Gemini is mutable air. It's an air element and it's mutable. It's ruled by Mercury, and Mercury's archetype is the messenger. Gemini being mutable air, Gemini is all about disseminating information and receiving it and being open to it. So Gemini's advice would probably be to learn as much as you can. Be flexible. Experiment. Be open to learning and keep an open mind. Especially consulting an esthetician. Yeah, just keeping the conversation going as far as like what works for you. And I know that for people who have Gemini risings, medical astrologers say that, you know, you might experience lots of changes to your skin, and that's due to the fact that, you know, Mercury moves really fast. It's like so nimble and so small, which makes sense, right, for its archetype. Being a messenger, you have to be quick, you have to be lightweight on your feet. He was going through the underworld, heaven, everyone between. Mercury can be a little bit of a trickster. I think that it shows especially in Gemini, and it's also thinking about physical thing, like grounding this really so that you understand. For those of us who have the ability to see, you know, our eyes are like usually a really primary source of information for us as we move through the world. You know, whether you're a visual learner or not, a lot of people, you know, base our thinking and our rationalizations, our logic off of those like first impressions, off of appearances and just what we see. And that's okay, you know, like I'm not shaming that at all. I'm just saying take care of your eyes. Gemini would want us to, you know, be using eye cream, those little cucumber things, because Gemini rules the eyes. Be taking, I think vitamin D is the one, eating carrots and stuff like that. Another thing would be to use eye drops and take time away from screens, take breaks, you know, rest your eyes if you can, if you need to wear one of these, I don't know what they're called. Dim the lighting, use nightlight, whatever. The way that, you know, you're translating the light, right, of your environment, your immediate environment, is really important because Mercury is the closest planet to the sun. That's kind of how the archetype was built for it. It's like the translator for the light, like the source, right? We think about the sun, it's the source. So Mercury, like being like kind of right there, it's like translating that light to us. So just, yeah, making sure that you're connecting to source. Reliable sources. Make sure you have your information like correct. Don't just listen to anybody. I think I said this for Aries too, but whereas in Aries it's kind of like, okay, like take a stand and like find what works for you. For Gemini it's like, okay, like don't overwhelm yourself with like too much information. Like I think that Gemini is like really good at picking up little fragments of information, and that's great. Like take what works for you and release what doesn't. Just beware of misinformation just around skincare and astrology and all that shit. But yeah, much love to my Geminis. So Cancer, I love Cancer. I'm a Cancer moon. So finally we get to the element of water and we go back into the modality of cardinal. And for all cardinal signs, but especially Cancer, I like to think of it as like the ocean waves. Like you're just building waves. Ooh, you're riding it, you know what I mean? You're like initiating, releasing. It's like a constant cycle and you're really busy. They're like the most busy people, I feel like. You know, if you have Cancer rising, or if you have like me, if you have like the moon in aspect to your ascendant or just in a really prominent place, you tend to have rounder face or like baby face. Being ruled by the moon, you know, we tend to look like her sometimes and that's amazing. But also, you know, remembering that the moon likes to like nourish, and like the moon does control like the waves, the ocean tide. And thinking about hydration, wear lots of moisturizer, be proactive, right? Because cardinal signs are proactive. Be proactive about drinking water. This is super important for all signs, obviously. Drink water. Remembering like to use hydrating serums, moisturizer, whatever it is that you need to retain moisture in your skin. Also, you know, the goal with skincare a lot of the times, and like the signs of like good skin, is soft skin. And you can look at this when like babies are like, oh, they're so cute, their skin is so soft. A lot of us, like, on our skincare journeys aim to like kind of emulate that like same softness. So remembering that obviously like that stereotype about cancers being like super soft and like vulnerable and like blah blah blah, it's not bad. Like, don't hide from it, especially if you are Cancer, you know, sun, moon, rising, or just have a lot of Cancer placements. Just knowing that it's okay to cry, and actually it's probably better for your skin, because crying has been proven to reduce stress. Crying may have like an indirect effect on your skin, like a positive one. Issues such as acne, breakouts can be caused by it. Therefore, crying will be reducing your acne breakouts because it's reducing the stress. So remembering to cry, I know that for a lot of us, you know, we already know this, you kind of have a glow after you cry. It's kind of like strange, but it's cool. And I know that I'm not the only one who thinks that. You know, I really admire my face sometimes, not always, because I'm a heavy crier. But if it's a light to like medium cry, I definitely feel much more relaxed after it. So my Cancer babies, it's okay to cry, it's okay. And yeah, Leo, fixed fire element, fixed, ruled by the sun. If we can think of what even like fire in one place would look like, yes, it would be a fireplace, but it would also be the sun, because that's just like kind of like a constant, you know what I mean, like the one of the only constants that we have in our lives even is the sun. So yeah, that being said, wear SPF. You know what I mean? It'll prevent aging, it'll prevent wrinkles, prevent cancer, all that shit. And because, you know, Saturn is in detriment, or is in like a bad position in Leo, because it would much rather be on its opposite sign, which is Aquarius, the sign that it rules, and we'll get to that later. I know Naomi Smalls, one of the first things I read by her when I was little, there was like an interview where she was like asked like, how do you keep your skin so divine? And she was like, oh, I'm always in the shade, I'm always wearing an umbrella, like I'm always wearing sunglasses and wearing SPF. Definitely get the sun, it's really good for you. Also, like, get that vitamin D, but stay protected. Also, knowing that Leo is like a lion, move your mane, dude. Your hair, if you have bangs like me, make sure you wash it regularly, because it can retain oil and cause acne up here. If you don't have bangs, that's fine, but also like if you have lots of hair, putting it in a ponytail or like clipping it, doing whatever you need to do when you wash your face is great, because that means you get all that shit washed off. I know it's super important for Leo to have their mane, but as far as skincare, it's really like not. Finally, knowing that Leo loves to shine, you must. So having vitamin C products might be like a good brightener, rather than using something like, I don't know, cake soap. Like, stay away from that. So just have that natural glow. Making sure that also your heart, which Leo and the sun both rule in medical astrology, your heart is like good, like it's pumping, your circulation affects your skin, right? So making sure that you have like a good circulation, a strong heart, so that the glow can happen. However, just want to say, as much as I do love my Leos, you don't want to shine too much, you don't want to look greasy, oily, or whatever. So making sure you use a mattifying moisturizer so that it's not too much. And I know I Leos hate to be told that they're extra sometimes, but we both know it's true. That's why we love you, so you're extra. So okay, Virgo, it's mutable earth. I'm not thinking about earth anymore in the sense of like, oh, food and nutrients and like, oh, flowers. when I think of Virgo, and a lot of us think about Virgo this way too, is like they have a really critical eye. They're ruled by Mercury as well. It's just like the earth version of Mercury, where it's more tangible. And so Virgo's advice for skincare would definitely be changing your bed sheets. Mutable earth means changing your bed sheets, changing your towels regularly, because that causes breakouts too. A lot of the times it's really just changing your bed sheets that'll like really do the trick, and like having that rotation and that responsibility that Virgo likes to have, that efficiency, optimizing, right? So optimizing your skincare through tangible actions would also look like having an order by which you layer your products. And there's ways to do this, and I'll probably link this below. Having that order, you know, Virgo loves to have its place, like all its places in there, all the things in their places. All the signs, but especially Virgo, don't pick at your skin. Do not. You see a pimple, resist the urge to pick at it if you feel it. And I'm telling you this as a Virgo Venus. I've been there and I understand. But hyper focusing, which Virgo is really good at doing. Virgo's about the details. That it's Mercury, right? So it's critical thinking through tangible ways, and whereas Gemini is more scattered, Virgo is a lot more laser focused. And sometimes this focus can be like a magnifying glass, which can be excellent when making beautiful crafts, doing a service where, you know, your attention to detail is really meant to last. And so like I said, this is where having that attention to detail, little things, mundane things, earth things, such as like changing our sheets and changing our towels, would come in, and having those like little routines. I start with my cleanser, and then I do like my toner, and then I do my serum, blah blah blah. This hyper focus can be too much, and I'm telling you this, I'm gonna tell this story that really helped me conceptualize the fall of Virgo. Yes, the fall, like the tragedy. Think of it, Virgo, as like a carpenter, right? Right, so he's really talented, like woodworker, making like a beautiful chair and just sanding it, seeing like, oh my god, how smooth I can make it, and like all like the curves and like the edges, trying to perfect it. And that's what Virgo's really good at doing, is perfection. And this is why a lot of models, supermodels, have Virgo placements, is because of this perfection. So moving back to the story, sanded it so much that it snapped, right? And this is where the moral of the story really is like, don't over perfect it. Don't keep optimizing so much that it loses its integrity. Look at the big picture. You know, Virgo is picky. It's known for being picky. Don't pick at your skin. Don't be literally like, you know what I mean? Keep the focus on the bigger picture. That's kind of like Virgo's medicine, is like, okay, let me stop, let me just, which is, you know, it's hard, but it's essential. Okay, Libra. So Libra is the other sign that is ruled by Venus. It is cardinal air. You can tell I'm having a lot of fun with the Venus signs, because I get so excited. Libra does rule aesthetics, and like, if you think about air, it's not like Earth and like Taurus, where it's more tangible and it's more about like the quality of things and like the way it makes us feel in our body, like somatically. Libra's Venusian incarnation is more about the intellectual side of things, and this is why photography and like painting and things like, you know, that relate to our eyes, like really beauty that is aesthetic, and that's what I mean when I say aesthetic, all goes to Libra. And so thinking back to the element of air, is an intellectual thing, is a mental thing, like Gemini and Aquarius. Libra would rule making sure that you have like no dark spots, like having toner and products that even out like discoloration in general, because Libra is the scales. It is the only archetype that isn't an animal or like a person. It's just an object. It's the scales, right, which rules balance and justice. And Libra is really concerned about, you know, coming across in a way that's really harmonious. So making sure that that harmony is translated in your skin with those products is a very Libra thing. Air treatment, like things like saunas. Balancing your pH levels, like your skin's pH levels with the acids, however you do it. Using products that feel cute to you. It can even just be like the packaging and like the sweet fragrances. Again, thinking of air. Saturn exalts here, meaning that Saturn really does Saturn. Like, it's really good at like playing its role as Saturn in Libra. Out of all the other signs, Libra is kind of like the place where it can really go ham, and like trusting, you know, that beauty requires discipline and effort. I'm sure that for my Libra people, or just like any people who work in beauty, you know that phrase, beauty is pain, right? And that's what I think a lot about when I think about Saturn exalting here. Just because, yeah, Saturn is not an easy planet. It's literally the planet of difficulties. Okay, so Scorpio, fixed water, ruled by Mars. And Scorpio is a scorpion. That is often associated with rebirth. And so I think a lot about detoxing and what products we use to get rid of the dead skin cells so that new ones may come out. So whether that it looks like exfoliating, using products like neem, whatever, purifying like charcoal, those masks, those like glycolic masks that purify and like clean like things like blackheads, rather than strips too, because I recently saw this thing that said don't use strips, use glycolic masks. And so I was like, oh shit. And that makes a lot of sense too, because when we think about things like blackheads, like fixed, things that have been there for a long time or like have been growing, just stuck, fixed, festering in my skin. The process by which I remove them should not be instantly gratifying. Why? Because Scorpio's fixed water ruled by Mars, meaning that it's more of a sniper, and it's more of like a really patient, long-term oriented type of strategic mastermind. I'm not saying that we have to approach our skin in a way where we're attacking it. I'm just saying that I would much rather have stuff like purifying like acids, exfoliants, stuff like that, rather than like strips, because that's just like instant gratification, like I said, and I think it is bad for your skin. So that makes a lot of sense to me, because big signs tend to move slower than others. So I know that it's gonna be worth it. And like we talked about, skincare is something that evolves and like it's better with time, and it's like all about time. Also, just thinking about fixed water, well, what's water that does not move? If Cancer's the ocean, Scorpio would be ice. Ice treatments would be also a Scorpio skincare thing. I don't know much about it, so I would definitely look into it, but I hear that it closes your pores and it helps with like all types of things. As this Scorpio, just really connecting to also like your desire, like what your true desires are. Sagittarius, mutable fire, ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is huge and Jupiter rules excess and generosity. And so my advice would be aware of how much product you use. Don't overdo it, because using too much is really just not good for your skin and not good for your wallet too. Speaking as someone who has Jupiter in the house of money, I can tell you right now, I know all about that, so I'm not judging. I have it in Aries, so I'm a very impulse buyer. That's not relevant right now. Going back to Jupiter, also representing generosity. Yes, it's really great, and I appreciate Sagittariuses for their generosity. I love them. But don't share your makeup. Don't share your brushes. Because it's just not good for you. It's not good for your skin. Also, Sagittarius rules the thighs and the legs. Its archetype is a centaur, so half human at the top, half horse at the bottom. Going back to that mutability, that movement, that free flowing movement, Sagittarius often associated with freedom. Go running. I know people say exercise is just a great way to keep your skin healthy, so you know, if it's accessible to you to go running, do that. If not, you can maybe do leg stretches. Also would be a good Sagittarius skin tip. Also, having faith. Sagittarius is really good at being optimistic, looking at the big picture, which I really appreciate as someone who's like really like Scorpio and like Virgo. That fire, boldness to like take risks, and like that courage to do so. Trying new things in your skincare, switching it up. Sagittarius is also a really good teacher. Its archetype is associated with like philosophy and like learning. Teaching others what you learned from those risks is also just a great Sagittarius thing to do. Sagittarius is the sister sign of Gemini, and so it makes sense that it's kind of like repeating the cycle of education. Okay, Capricorn, cardinal earth ruled by Saturn. Moving into that cardinal modality, that initiation, right, that proactiveness, that Capricorn skincare wisdom would have to do with like our hands, even if it doesn't rule the hands, but thinking about the motions of in like kind of massaging your skincare products in, and the effects that it has in the long run, right? That Saturn longevity. And because Capricorn, you know, being ruled by Saturn and cardinal earth is about actually building tangible structures. It's a sea goat. It's also associated with like kind of climbing up a mountain, so that's why Capricorn is obviously associated with like hard work. Obviously, I think I've been saying this a lot, is that skincare is a lot of effort. I'm thinking also because Saturn is the slowest moving planet that we can see, it's really slow. Taking those time to do those slow circle motions, that gentle, thinking of it as that wave we were talking about earlier with cardinal modalities, good for preventing wrinkles in the long run, right? And Capricorn, out of all the signs, is most associated with aging well. If that's something that interests you, looking into anti-aging products, but also just following these tips, right, and just keeping up with your skincare is just an anti-aging routine, just looking into products. And if not, you know, if you're not interested in that, definitely looking into consistency, and just consistency with your skincare, because skincare does get better with time. Having patience, putting in that work, and also time, because Saturn rules time. Remembering that you're giving it that 20 seconds of like hand washing before. Capricorn also loves quality things, so get fancy products if you can, you know, because having invested in these products that are quality, it's investing in yourself, right? And it's also investing in things that'll work better long term in the future. It's investing in your future self. Capricorn definitely want you to buy a more expensive product rather than a bunch of like cheaper products. Aquarius is fixed air. My goodness. Saturn is currently in Aquarius. Saturn being its ruler, it's in its other home sign. Lots of people are experiencing new skin problems because we're not used to being stuck inside all day. A lot of us are having like quarantine problems. I know that for me, that's what kind of got me started on this journey, was quarantine. I've never really had skin issues. This astrology shit is so fucking real, y'all. Like, you know, Aquarius is a sign that is associated with detachment. If you think about any sign as an alien, that would be Aquarius, living in outer space. So Aquarius is a sign that has been social distance before us. You know, Aquarius also ruling the future and like innovation, looking at products that are new, keeping up to date with like what advancements have been made in the science behind skincare. Having Uranus in modern astrology co-rule Aquarius with Saturn. Uranus rules the nervous system. Stress, you know, like we talked about, really impacts the skin. So remembering to breathe, it's really good medicine. If you can, go outside and get some fresh air, because Aquarius is fixed air. So, you know, air gets stale in the house. And humidifiers too, I think, would be good medicine for for Aquariuses. Taking time away from screens. And this is all, it feels really real. It's because, you know, like I said, we're all going through this together. Like, this is not advice for individual signs, like I keep saying. It's just general tips that I'm seeing connections with. I mean, Aquarius loves the internet. Aquarius is like really associated with it. So yeah, if you can, you know, take time away from it, because like I said, it not only impacts your eyes, but also impacts your skin. Stay ahead of the trends. Keep sharing info. Aquarius is a water bear. So like I said, a humidifier would be really great way to change the air and make sure it's not just so static, right? Because Aquarius loves innovation. It's good to have products that reflect that and disrupt any type of like stagnancy. Finally, making sure that your routine is unique to you. And I think that goes for all signs, but Aquarius especially loves being unique, and that's okay because every chart and every skin makeup is different. Finally, Pisces. I'm a Pisces rising. So Pisces is mutable water, so you can think of it as kind of like a stream if you want. It's ruled by Jupiter and Neptune in modern astrology. So Neptune is the planet that's associated with like dissolving boundaries and kind of unifying us all through art and like ethereal experiences. Like, honestly, to convey the essence of Neptune, a poet is needed. This amazing medical astrologer said that. Cameron Allen. Yeah, I was just reading his website. Shout out Cameron Allen. We're thinking about Saturn and the skin, right, being a boundary, and Neptune being a boundary dissolver. I'm thinking a lot about the pores and the opening and closing of the pores, especially. If you know, want to open your pores, it's good to open your pores sometimes, like to, you know, release or to accept things, like new products. So having things like facial steams and like saunas are great ways to do that. Also, when we go out, right, especially now, but always making sure that your pores aren't like too open. You know, you want to keep them shut. And I know that for a lot of us Pisces, we absorb a lot of the muck of the world, and it really is hard to have boundaries. Like, it's no joke. Like I literally struggled so hard with that. And I think that another good medicine, like a good Pisces tip, would be using rose water, which closes the pores and is just protection. Also, thinking about Pisces being sensitive, using gentler products like chamomile or calendula might be a good investment. Pisces, you know, we have a reputation for being aloof, waking up and just constantly reinventing ourselves, even like just shape shifting, which is great because it can reflect in like really artistic and beautiful makeup looks. That being said, don't forget to wipe off your makeup before you go to bed. Pisces would definitely know that lesson. I know that I do. Instead of, you know, being so aloof all the time, you know, invest in that ritual of skincare that will ground you. You can engage with water spirits, your earth spirits, whatever you need. When you do that, you can say your affirmations and just start off with a fresh, clean slate in the morning, you know, for you to be a whole ass other side of like your personality, your beautiful imagination creates. Also, drinking and taking omega-3 and water, also helpful Pisces advice. That was my skincare thing. Let me know if you like it. I'm definitely gonna be doing more videos. And apologize if there's any like slurring in my speech. I'm gonna be having lots of resources down below, so please check that out. Let me know in the comments, you know, what about your signs? Like, what correlations do you see? What has your skincare journey looked like? I want to close out by saying, like, this was really fun. Can't wait to talk to you soon. Bye!